All right, welcome back, Geo Metro Ninjas, to another day of virtual Mr. Coach. Today we're going to focus on this beautiful formula that you guys see at the top of your screen. Okay, we are talking about the midpoint formula. So if you think back to when we first heard what a midpoint was, way back in Unit 2, okay, a midpoint is the point on a segment that cuts it perfectly in half. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to figure out how to find the midpoint on our coordinate plane using the midpoint formula. Okay, and that formula is in parentheses because again guys, this is a point on our coordinate plane. And because it's a point, this would be the x of our midpoint and this would be the y of our midpoint. So we've got in parentheses x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay. So we get our first problem here. They give us this pretty blue segment. Okay, they don't give us any pieces, so I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit. Okay, so one endpoint where our segment stops, that is an endpoint. We've got negative 3 is our x, positive 4 is our y, and then the other endpoint of our blue segment, again where our segment stops, looks like we have 5, comma 6. So our two endpoints, we've got negative 3, comma 4, and 5, comma negative 6. Got the negative down there, didn't I? Sorry, guys. So those are our 2 points. So if we were to label these, it doesn't matter which one you call x1 or y1, but it does matter that if one is x1, the other one can't be y2. So if this is our first set of points to negative 3, negative 3, comma 4, that's going to be our x1, y1. I could have said the same thing for the other. Because we've got a plus sign in the middle, it's not going to affect our outcome. Okay, so we get our formula. x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2, and we just substitute, and that equals our midpoint in P. So we're just going to substitute our values and perform our basic mathematical functions. So we get negative 3 plus 5, and then 4 plus negative 6. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2. So we got 2 over 2. 4 plus negative 6, it's really 4 minus 6, is negative 2 over 2. And those fractions reduce down to 1, negative 1. So the midpoint of our first problem is 1, negative 1. And if I go to my graph, let's see. So over positive 1 down to negative 1. And when we look, well, that's a pretty good representation of our midpoint. Let's do the same thing for number 2. We're going to identify our endpoints first and then find our midpoint. So our first one, generally, we're going to go from left to right on our graph. And that's going to help how we identify our pieces. Okay, so we got negative 5 and negative 3. And then our right endpoint looks like 3, 5. So again, we got our endpoints of negative 5, negative 3, and 3, comma 5. So we're going midpoint formula. x1 plus x2, y1 plus y2. Maybe I can make a 1 right there. So negative 5 plus 3. Negative 3 plus 5. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. Negative 3 plus 5 is positive 2. And then again, we just reduce those fractions, and we get our midpoint to be negative 1, positive 1. And we can go plot that on our graph, and we can see that's a pretty good representation of the midpoint of this particular segment. So we got 2 more graphs that we can do. So we don't really have a left or right, so we're just going to start, doesn't matter where you start again. It's a plus sign. So we've got, what is that, 4, comma 5. Is that right? 4, 5, yeah. And then 4, negative 3. So our 2 endpoints (4, 5) and 4, negative 3. We're going to use our midpoint formula, x1 plus x2, y1 plus y2. Substitute what we know. So we get 4 plus 4, comma, 5 plus negative 3. 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 plus negative 3, so it's really 5 minus 3 is 2. Reduce our fractions, 4 comma 1. And if we were to plot that, we can see it's a midpoint. So that was a vertical line. That's a no slope line. The next one's a horizontal, which is a 0 slope line. So our points look to be, what is that, negative 6, 3. Excuse me, guys. And then 4, negative 3. So our 2 points. Negative 6, negative 3 are, and 4, comma, negative 3 are our midpoints. I'm going to pop them into our midpoint formula. So see, guys, that I write the formula over and over again. Yes, I'm trying to teach you guys using the formula, but the secondary point of that is the more I write the formula, the longer it's going to stick in my head. So for you guys, I just take a sticky note and pop it right up on a side, or get a note card out so you're ready and just write down these formulas as we go. But for this purpose, I'm just going to keep writing it over and over, and I want to see how long that thing sticks in my brain. So x1 is 6, negative 6, x2 is 4, y1 is negative 3, y2 is 4. What did I do? Oh, I'm silly, Sean. Negative 3 plus negative 3. Okay, so we get negative 2 over 2, negative 6 over 2. So our points are negative 1, negative 3. And if I go to my graph, pretty good representation. Okay, guys, I'm not going to do these next couple because they are the same. They will be on the completed notes, but it's just more of this same problem. But I do want to do these bottom three here. Because if you look, instead of giving us both endpoints and finding the midpoint, it's making us take our midpoint and one of our endpoints and find the missing one. So we're still going to use, our midpoint formula. X1 plus X2 over 2, Y1 plus Y2 over 2. So we're still using the same midpoint formula. That's not going to change. What's going to change is now, if we still want to leave this guy X1, Y1, and then I'll do the next one where it's X2, Y2, just to show you that it doesn't matter how you set it up. And then remember, guys, this is the X and Y of our midpoint. So I'm going to show you. So our midpoint is -4, 6, right? It's a little large. Let's make it a little bit tinier so I got a little bit of room. So -4, 6, okay? And this is my X, this is my Y. And then in my equation, I'm going to go 2 plus X2 because we don't know that. And then 1 plus Y2 because we don't know that. Now you're looking at it. You're like, Coach, what in the heck is going on? What is happening right now that it's just nuts? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this problem now and we're going to break it up. We're going to break it up into its X's and its Y's. So if you see what I just did there, I boxed the X's in red and the Y's in black. So I'm going to take the X function, the X version, the X pieces of this problem. So we know in the X version, -4 equals 2 plus X2 over 2. So I took out of our midpoint, I just took everything that represented X and I plucked it out of the original problem and I put it on the left. Now we're going to solve for X from here. So let's multiply both sides by 2 to clear that denominator. So -8 equals 2 plus X2. Subtract 2 from both sides. So we get X equals -10. So that is the endpoint of our other one. And we're going to do the same thing on the right. We're going to take all the Y pieces, which was 6 equals 1 plus Y2 over 2. And now we're going to solve for Y. So we took our midpoint formula and we just broke it into its X's and we broke it into its Y's. Again, first thing we want to do is clear that 2 from the bottom. Multiply both sides by 2. It's going to cancel it on the right, leave us with 12 on the left. Subtract 1 from both sides. So we get Y equals 11. So our new endpoint, I know I'm kind of out of space in this little spot. So our new endpoint, our answer, we'll box it up I guess, is -10, 11. That's the answer. So here we go, we're going to do it again. But this time, we're going to do it the same way. Midpoint and endpoint. So remember our midpoint formula. X1 plus X2 over 2. Y1 plus Y2 over 2. We're going to break it up into our X midpoint equals X1 plus X2 over 2. In our Y midpoint, that's why I put a little MP at the bottom, is equal to Y1 plus Y2 over 2. And like I said last time, we're going to let our endpoint this time be the 2 version. We're going to let it be the, so you guys can see that it's not going to affect the outcome if I just have one or the other. Oh gosh, take that thing. I don't know what I've done there. Alright, so the x value of our midpoint was -3. We're going x1 plus -4. Multiply both sides by 2. So we get -6 equals x1 minus 4. That became a minus because it was plus a negative, so we just made it a minus. Add 4 to both sides. It's going to cancel it out on the right. So -2 equals x1. And now we're going to find our y. So the y value was +3 equals y1 plus -2. Multiply both sides by 2. So 6 equals y1 minus 2. Add 2 to both sides. So we get 8 equals y1. So our point here is -2, +8. And our last one, midpoint 3/2, comma 1, endpoint 5/7. I'm just going to start with my XMP equals x1 plus y1, or x1 plus x2, sorry. And my YMP equals y1 plus y2 over 2. And remember, guys, this isn't a new formula. We just modified our midpoint formula to help us solve for individual pieces. Plug in what we know. X is 3 over 2. And I know that looks scary, but remember, the first thing we do is we clear that positive, that 2 on the bottom. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2. And if the 2 cancels the denominator on our right side, it's going to do the same thing on our left side, leaving us just 3 equals 5 plus x2. Subtract 5 from both sides. So again, x is -2. -7 plus y2. Multiply both sides by 2 to get us going so we can clear that 2 in the denominator. So 2 equals -7 plus y2. Oh, there's a little line there, ain't there? Add 7 to both sides. So we get y equals 9. Okay, so our point is, our other endpoint is -2, +9. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for midpoints. Like I said, I'll have those other three filled in for your notes. Y'all have a wonderful day.